Welcome back to Body Talk with Becks. This week is the second half of my interview with Camryn. Let's just jump right into this week's episode. And your parents have always been just open and, always discussed with you everything?
So they kind of, how do I explain this? They let me talk about it when I wanted to. Like, obviously they explained it to me when I was a kid, but I don't remember. My dad a lot, when he would explain it to me though, would draw pictures, like just to explain it a little bit better, even though I had no idea what he was saying. And I was just like,
That's really cute though, drawing pictures.
Yeah, it's just, it made more sense as a kid to draw stuff like that. And he'd be like, these are ureters. He's like, you don't have these, or something like that. Like, however it would be explained to a kid. And they let me come to them. So like, if I was just like, why am I wearing a diaper? Like, I just knew like not to talk about it like in front of people. That I knew to only talk about it with my parents. That was very clear from the beginning. They were like, you don't show anyone your pull-up, you don't tell anybody about it. Like, basically, like, it doesn't exist, but you still need to be like careful. I knew that from a young age right away. But anytime it came up in conversation, like, I would always be the one to address it. I don't know how exactly. I'd probably just be like, why can't I wear underwear, was probably the question. And then they would explain to me why. But they always let me come to them. Unless it was like really like severe where I was going for a surgery or something, then they would talk to me about it. But usually
I think that's
it was
really
me going
the
to
best
them.
way to do it, because it kind of creates that like open channel of communication where you feel comfortable asking them. And like they're going to give you an honest answer. So you kind of like learn, like, if I just ask, they'll tell me.
Yeah, they were very open talking about it. It was never like, well, we can't talk about that. It was never like that. And even my sister too, she was very supportive. Like, she still is like super supportive in the whole situation. So it's always nice to have that too. And also, my parents didn't really know, because my sister doesn't have it, but I do. That's like Kylie. Like, her older sister doesn't have it, and her younger brothers don't have it, but she does. So, and no one knows why it really happens necessarily. I mean, I've asked my doctor multiple times, and he's like, it might be something to do with one of your chromosomes, but honestly, we don't know. I'm like, well, that's nice.
Maybe not in our generation.
No, sadly, but I mean,
right.
It's what it is. It wasn't genetic, like, for me.
It wasn't genetic for me either. But I have an older brother and he doesn't have it. And I'm the only person in our family that has it.
Me too. So it literally just came out of nowhere. There was no preparation or anything like that. But as I got older, I asked more questions because I was able to understand what was going on and why I couldn't do certain things. So a lot of times, like, about the bathing suit thing, I would like break down, and my mom would have to explain to me, like, if you want to go, it's one phone call. And I'm like, but I'm not ready for that yet. I just want this to be over. And then even like after my big surgery, like, I had multiple breakdowns still, especially when I still had like all the tubes and everything. I was like, why am I like this? Why was I made like this? Basically. And my parents were like, we're so sorry. Like, I don't want to say I was mad at them because I can't be mad at them. It's not their fault. But I feel like they were my only outlet. And I probably, like, I don't know. I feel like I was so mean to them. Like, I specifically remember one night, I think it was the night I came home from a dilation or something like that, maybe. And I was just like, why am I like this? Why was I born like this? Why me? All this stuff, just like going at them, like so angry. And I was like, you don't get it. You're never going to get it. And they were like, we're sorry. Like, this is just, sounds terrible, but this is just how it is. Like, you kind of just have to deal with it. But they said it a lot nicer than that. But it was just, I don't know. I'm sure you had those like moments too.
Oh yeah. Like, I think I had them a lot more as a teenager. Yeah. As a kid, I was just sort of like happy and didn't really care all that much. Yeah, but
You don't
definitely
know,
as a
really don't.
teenager, I don't know if I really verbalized it a whole lot, but I definitely internalized then like wondered why. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, I don't blame my parents for not putting me through the surgeries when I was a baby because so much has changed in technology. And I know they might still be working on it. When I was like a kid, they were trying to work on cloning a bladder. I don't know. I don't think that's happened yet. But they were working on that. I mean, now I don't know what they would have done for me then. Probably like what they did now, but I don't know if they would have known how to make a neobladder.
Right. Who knows what kind of technology they had at the time and what would have happened.
And I might have had to go for like multiple procedures because, you know, your body's developing. Your bladder is growing. Things might change. So it was just, although it sucked, it was my best bet to wait until I was old enough to make the decision myself. Because it also was just such like a transformation period for me in general. Like the person that I was prior to surgery is not the person that I am now, like post surgery. And like people say that to me all the time. They're like, you are, and not in a bad way, they're like, you are a totally different person. That it's like, it's great. Like I'm so much more open and so much more like knowledgeable about the subject and just a whole different person. And I don't take things for granted as much because honestly, like if I went in for that second procedure, I could have literally died on the operating table. So it's just, and then like not long after surgery, so I was operated on in April. I was still pretty sick. October, my sister and I were on our way to school and we got into a really, really bad car accident. Like the car was totaled completely on my side of the car. Like I was in the passenger seat. Car was completely totaled and I'm like literally surprised that we made it out of that car alive. So even after that, I'm like, oh my God, I value things like so much more. So it's just like little things. And also being in that accident could have caused a lot of harm to my bladder. Like it was still very new, you know? So we were also worried about that. Like I went to the hospital and they're like, can you like check her out and everything like that? And thankfully I was completely fine. Not like a scratch on us, but a lot of stuff just has happened since the surgery. And it's like, I don't know how I'm alive half the time. Like I think about it and I'm like, everything that I went through, how did I make it out of that? Because between the severe depression I had, between the operations, between the car accident, and just like everything else, like I don't know how I did it and how I'm like here to talk about it. And that's a good thing, but it's just like I don't really take life for granted as much as I did.
Yeah.
Crazy year.
Well, do you have plans in the future to have that last surgery or?
I would love to. Obviously, it's a dream to be continent, but with COVID, it's really hard because obviously I want my family there in the hospital with me and it's
they have a lot of
really
restrictions still.
With COVID. So again, it's livable. I'm kind of just dealing with that. But yeah, I would love to go for that sometime soon. Within like the next 2 years, if possible, I want to try to knock that surgery out and like not have to go for any more surgeries. That would be really nice because although I love Johns Hopkins, like no one wants to go for another surgery. And it's just like hanging over my head all the time. I'm like, oh, I still have to do this. Because if COVID didn't hit, I definitely would have had it by now. So, and it's been 3 years and I haven't had the surgery. So, but I'm just happy that I got the surgery when I did because
you're lucky you did get it COVID when you did.
Yes, because I know somebody who had the surgery during COVID. And I was like, that must have been horrible. Like, I can't imagine going through everything that I did on top of COVID in the hospital. Like,
so much more stress
10
and
times
like precautions and
literally Yeah, I was literally a year off.
Yeah.
So good thing.
And you're still working on trying to put weight back on as well, right?
Yeah, at the moment I'm like 90, 91 pounds. So I'm very close, but it's also like, I just need to gain weight. I'm like a very, very small person. So I need to just kind of put that weight back on. And That's very easy with the way that I eat. I'm surprised that I didn't gain it by now. But besides that, I mean, I'm very close with Kylie. That's why I keep bringing her up. We're like this. We're besties. She's helped me a lot. She was like my rock through all of this because I had my parents as a support system, but talking to somebody you barely know, she literally called me one night and she was like, hey, and she explained who she was. And from like that moment, she was like, yeah, I'm here if you need anything. And yet she's on mission. And she was just always there for me and helped me through so much. Because I remember talking to her. I think we talked every night or like every Monday night or something like that. And she was like, I'm here for you. And I would just vent to her. I would cry to her. And it was just so nice because she's like, I totally get what you're going through. And I never had that. And she still is now. Like we do the support group together. We do a support group over Zoom once a month. We skipped the month of June, I think, or June. Like no one can make the appointment. And the days vary, but we try to meet at least once a month. And there's so many people that we talk to, like people from everywhere. Like we have someone in Alaska that comes on and just like all over the place. It's really nice to just like get everyone together. And honestly, half the time we don't even talk about anything medical. We just catch up on our lives. But if we do want to talk about something medical, it's very easy to because you mentioned something and everyone's like, oh yeah, I've gone through that.
I think I'm going to join for the one in August.
So. Okay. You should. I think it's on the 12th. So Friday.
Yeah. But I've also never been to a group like that before. So
it was so scary the first time. Kylie and I were like freaking out. Like we were literally like on Zoom before. We're like, oh my God, this is so scary. But afterwards we were like, that went great. Like that couldn't have gone any better. Everybody felt so comfortable. And we just had like a huge, just random discussion. People are just throwing out questions. I don't know how to explain it. It just felt so like welcoming. And I look forward to it every month. I'm like, oh, I get to see like all my friends and everything. It's just a different feeling. Like you feel so safe. And it's nice because all those people too don't have anyone to talk to. So to have someone to talk to, it's nice. And it's also nice because I feel like we're, even though it's very small, I feel like we're like making a difference a little bit. Because I know if I had something like that when I was a teenager, I would have loved it. I would have felt like I wasn't alone like I was for all those years. And it's just, a lot of people say that they're like, I feel like I'm not alone anymore. Like, it's so nice. Like, I didn't know that everybody, like, not everybody, but I didn't know there were a lot of people out there like this. I'm like, yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Until
I think it's something that I've talked about with a few people that, like, there's a lot of us out there. We're just, like, also spread out from each other. Yeah. But like if you put us all in a room together, there's a ton of us.
And you know, like we don't just do like bladder exstrophy, other like bowel. I forgot what the other one is called, but we do a lot of like other bowel issues too. There's people there with like literally everything. So it's very like welcoming, very just nice. I feel so like I can't stop smiling when I get off the call. Basically, I'm just like, this feels so good. And if I could just like help one person, then I feel like I'm helping a lot of people, if that makes any sense. I don't know, it just feels really good. Especially like I want to give back because like Kylie did so much for me. So I feel like doing this with her, not only is it nice because I get to see her, but it's just like, I don't know. I can't explain the feeling. Yeah. It's just, maybe you'll see it when you come, but it's just such a good feeling. And we have new people come like every month. Like there's always more and more people every month. And I'm like, oh, you know, it's really nice. I don't know. I guess they're finding out through like the Facebook group or something like that. But it's just, it's something else to just do that. One of the meetings we had significant others come on. And they were able to talk about their experiences and everything like that. So it was nice. We try to like bring on like people. So whether it's your significant other, we would want to do parents maybe one time, but we haven't like done it yet. I know Kylie was talking about having like one of her doctors come on and talk. So I was like, that would be perfect to ask questions for. And we might record that session maybe, so we just like have it. But yeah, we don't usually record them, so it's
Totally
like
private.
whatever you say, it's like, unless like, you know, someone says something, but it's a safe space. And we say that too. We're like, we don't record, so you could feel completely comfortable. And then Kylie and I also offer like both. Like I say to everybody all the time, like, if you don't feel comfortable talking in a large group, contact Kylie, contact me separately, and like we'll hop on a Zoom and I'll just like talk to you, because I know like it's a scary situation sometimes. People don't want to like put everything out there right away. A huge group of strangers. So we definitely offered that in the beginning. No one did it, but it's always there. We always say like, you could contact us whenever, if you just like have a question or you just want to talk, you want to vent.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure it's nice to just like have the option. I mean, if anything, it's just like demonstrating what a safe space it is. Like, even if no one takes that option, like just having it available.
No, we try to also not make it so serious either. Like, we have fun, like we play games and we'll just like talk. People bring their pets on. Like, it's like it's just good. Like, it's just a little bit of everything. And you hear stuff that like you wouldn't even think of. Like, I know, and when I was listening to your podcast too, like everybody gets, the females at least, get UTIs. And that's like a huge issue for everybody. And I'm like,
Really?
I don't get UTIs.
Wow.
So I don't think I've ever had one. I don't know. I was talking to my mom about it the other day, and I was like, yeah, I don't get UTIs. It's a very common thing in this medical condition. Like, why? I mean, I'm not mad about it, but like, why? And I think it boiled down to, she's like, you drink a lot of water. And I do drink a lot of water, and I don't cath or anything vaginally.
But you can still get UTIs through the Mitrofanoff, because I've had them through there before.
That's strange then. I don't know, maybe I'm just one of those people that doesn't get it. Or I don't know, maybe I'm just like very like sterile, and because you have to be too, you know.
Yeah.
Very sterile in this situation. I don't know. I've never gotten one, so I'm not really upset about it. It's just people talk about it. Yeah. People are like, oh, I got another UTI again. I'm like,
no.
Is there something wrong with me? Like, am I not getting them? So yeah, but that's like a really common conversation that we have. So
yeah,
definitely relatable. Like, there's literally, you're like, oh my God, you go through that too? Just like little stuff. And we talk about relationships and, you know, everything to do with that, judgment, just like everything. So it's nice to have those conversations, because again, like, it's hard to have those kind of conversations with family, or at least in my situation, it's hard to have those conversations with family because they don't go through it. And it's a whole different situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to really empathize when you've never really been through it.
Like, my parents are so like supportive about that and everything, and they try to be, but again, they're not going through it. And even as like a parent with a kid going through it, I commend them, because, you know, I can only imagine how it was when I was born, like the whole situation. Like, my mom said when I was born, when they came home from the hospital, I didn't come with them. Like, I had to stay at the hospital because like I was operated on and stuff. She's like, that was the hardest thing in the world, to not come home with you. So, and I felt like terrible. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But I can only imagine like seeing your kid, like so innocent, just like go through this, and like they didn't ask for it and you didn't ask for it, and it's just like a whole big mess in that situation, you know, unless you've kind of been through it before. But they had no idea what this was. They heard of it and they just were very confused. They did research, obviously, but I mean, you barely hear about this even now, unless you're in the community. But like, you don't hear doctors talking about this. It's not in textbooks. Like, and if it is, it's like a 1-paragraph thing. And it's like, no, it goes far beyond that. Like, there's a lot of other things that go along with it. Like, you have the mental part of it, like the physical part of it, just like the social part of it. It's a lot. You know. So I just wish that they did more research on it because it's annoying that they don't and that we still don't know why this happened to us.
I agree, definitely. Were you able to ever go back to college?
Yeah.
Have you finished or?
Yeah. I am in my last year of college. I start in the fall, so I'll graduate in May, God be willing. And yeah, I transferred colleges actually because I just didn't like the other college that I was at. So it was a good excuse to transfer also. So I'm in school. I am an education major. So I want to work with like K to 3. So I'm currently in school just doing like my clinicals for it. So I go into classrooms, and this semester I start, not fully, but I'll start teaching in the classroom. And then besides that, I have very random minors I have. Also my school is like pretty known for it, but I have a minor in Jewish studies and Holocaust and genocide studies. So it's like very, very random. But yeah, I kind of just put my all when I went to my new school because I was just like, I hated my other school so much. And it just felt so welcoming. Like even one professor, I'm very close with her. My sister and I actually like went to her house like a few weeks ago and like spent the whole day with her. But she like welcomed me into that community, and she's so understanding about my medical. I basically like just opened up to her right away, and I told her like everything, and she'll constantly ask me like, are you going for your next surgery? And I want to know when you get your next surgery and everything like that. So it's nice to have people that aren't family treat you that way, because I consider her like my school mom. She's even like, oh yeah, like, because my school is like an hour from here and she lives like 5 minutes from the school. She's like, even if you have to, you could spend the night here. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I trust her too. It's not like a creepy situation. She's had kids before. Like her and her husband are so sweet, and she's just like, yeah, you could spend the night if you want. Like you would have your own bedroom and bathroom and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, why are you doing this? Thank you so much. But it's really nice to just have people like that, because I've encountered people that judge you and they don't even know you. Like I've been referred to, I don't know if you've ever been referred to like this, but I was referred to as the one with the problem before. Mm-hmm. And it's hurt so bad because it was somebody that I hadn't met. They only knew of me because it was like very, very distant family. And when they asked, and they didn't even try to like ask it like subtly, they literally asked it very loud. They're like, oh, is that the one with the problem? And I'm like, is that how I've been referred to this whole time in the family? Like, am I the one with the problem? And it just hurt so bad. I cried so much after that. And it was just like, why would someone do that? In the education field, when you talk about somebody and like their medical or their disability, it's like you put their name first. So like if someone had autism, you'd be like, oh, you wouldn't say like an autistic person. You'd say like, oh, a person with autism. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, why would you do that to me? I don't even know you. You don't know me. We've never met before. And you're going to refer to me like that? I don't know if they knew that I heard them say that, but that hurts. And even my mom was like, yeah, she has a medical condition, but it's not a problem. Like, it hurts when people, I've had someone else refer to me like that before, but I knew it wasn't like intentional. It was just because I don't think that they really understood what they were saying. But I mean, it doesn't make it hurt any less, but I kind of knew where it was coming from. So I was like, okay, like I'll let that one slide. But so
yeah, I'm sorry.
That's always stuck in my head. No, it's okay. It was a few years ago anyways. It's not like it was recently, but it's just nice that like you would have like people like that don't talk like that actually have a heart.
And I think it's also that people just aren't educated on how to actually refer to people who have medical conditions. And
yeah, like some people might be like, oh, it's not a sensitive topic, but I don't know why. No, I know that it is, but I'm saying like some people might not think that. And I know when I've like, and not like talking about it like this, but like when I've had to talk to people and explain the situation, I get so emotional. When I told my boyfriend's parents, which I only told them recently, and we're together 2 years, I literally cried when I told them. And their response was like the best ever. His dad, like we were at the dinner table and I told them over dinner, and I was literally shaking and like squeezing my boyfriend's hand like before, and I was like, can you try to bring up the topic? I don't know how to bring this up. And he was like, guys, Cam has to tell you something. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
way to be subtle. So I explained to them, and I literally just broke down while telling them, and his dad got up from the dinner table and like walked over to me and hugged me, and he was like, we love you no matter what, kid. Like, and I was just like, stop. Like, why are you being so nice to me? And I also waited so long to tell them because, again, I wanted them to know me for me and not my medical. Like when I think of somebody, like I don't think like Kylie, for instance. I'm not like, oh, Kylie, she also has bladder exstrophy. I'm like, Kylie, my best friend.
Right.
Oh, yes, she has bladder exstrophy. But I didn't want them to think like, oh, I don't know if I want to say my boyfriend's name or not, but our son's girlfriend, she's the one with the medical condition. I wanted them to meet me, fully know me, and then if they want, judge me on the side for that. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Camryn.
Right.
Here's my life. So that's why I waited so long also to tell them. And I explained that to my boyfriend. He was like, no, like that totally makes sense. And like, I was literally going through anxiety the whole week leading up to telling them. I was like, I just think it's time. You know, summer's coming. I have a pretty big scar that shows when I wear a bathing suit. I don't want to have to hide it all the time. And they were totally cool with it. And then he was like, well, if anything, just tell them it's a shark bite, you know? I was like, all right. It's Shark Week, you know? Yeah. I don't know if you, like, your situation, I don't want to say your situation is different, but you don't catheter or anything. So do you, like, how do you tell people if you do?
Open about things. Honestly, I don't normally like really I don't really like disclose to people, but like if they ask where the scar comes from and things like that, then I'm usually pretty honest about like, oh yeah, I grew up with bladder exstrophy and this is a scar from a surgery I had when I was 11. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of more of what I do. And usually people are pretty cool about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess because I just like grew up like not telling anybody, like it takes me a long time to tell somebody if I really want to tell them. And then otherwise I'm like, they're not on a need to know basis.
Yeah.
So why? You know, like it's just
like, I don't disclose like things that I'm currently struggling with. Like I won't obviously tell them about my trouble at night and stuff like that. Like I save that kind of stuff for my closer relationships and that type of thing.
Yeah, I feel like, which like your situation is so good, like you don't have to catheter or anything. So it's like when it comes to explaining for me, I'm like, well, like especially like explaining to his parents and stuff, I'm like, well, I have to cath, so like God forbid there's an issue, you know? Like I feel like that's why it takes me longer to like want to tell somebody because I'm like, okay, I'm literally telling them how I pee.
Conversation like, to have.
Yeah, but I also thought it's important for them to know because I spend a lot of time at my boyfriend's house and he still lives with his parents. So God forbid I can't get my catheter in at their house, which thankfully has never happened. But if it did, and he's like, we got to go to the hospital and we're running out and they're like, where are you going? And we're like, oh, we're going to the hospital. They're kind of on a no basis. So that's also why I like disclose to them because I just like we recently went on vacation with them last weekend. So I was like, it's important that they know. God forbid anything. Nothing happened, thankfully, but still, it's important. So really just my family knows, my boyfriend's parents, only his parents know. I didn't tell his brother or anything like that. And like doctors and very, very close like friends. So like my best friend know and that professor I'm very close with, but I consider her like family anyways. Besides that, I'm very like private about it. Like this is the most like what's the word to use? Verbal, I guess, about it that I've been. And I think that's why I was so nervous. I feel okay now. But it's the unknown. And like I know you're not gonna like be mean or anything like that because I listened to your podcast already. But I was just like, it's just scary to put it out there, because even like on social media or anything, like I don't like put that out there, anything like that. So like literally like nobody that I grew up with knows. So it's like if they hear this, they know, but it doesn't really matter. It's a big step though, but I'm happy that it happened.
It's kind of,
yeah, it's just like not like, oh, it's time to be open about this, but like it's also educating people. So that's another reason to be open about it.
Educating people, it's connecting people kind of the same way that the Zoom call is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it would be so cool if like whoever decides to listen to this podcast, like it's like, oh, I want to go on the Zoom call. Like that'd be awesome. Or you just like, you know, more people will reach out to you because of this and want an interview. Because when I was listening to yours, I don't know how to pronounce her name. The woman Christine? From Scotland that you. Yes, Christine. I like just finished listening to that podcast yesterday, I think. And I was like, oh my God, she's like all the way across the world almost. And like, it's so cool that you reached out to her and she was the first person that you talked to. That was
really cool. That's like, I got like goosebumps just because I was like, I can't believe that someone all the way across the world has the same condition and has had such similar experiences. It's just kind of mind-blowing to think about.
It's just crazy that it took you to make a podcast to meet somebody like that, like with your condition also, that like you, and obviously it's not your fault or anything, but like that you hadn't met somebody sooner. It's cool that it gave you the opportunity to do that. And now it's opening you up to more people. And if you come to the meeting, you'll meet more people. Because that's how I felt. I was like, okay, it's one person. Right. And then like I met a bunch of people. And I was like, wait, there's a camp for this every year? And there's more people? A lot. Like, how many of us are there? I know. And it's just like, it's such like a good feeling, but I can only imagine that must have been like mind-blowing for you. You must have had like so many questions. And
it has been, it's like been really cool meeting people.
Yeah. I'm happy that you're able to meet people because of this. It's just a really good feeling. Just knowing you're not alone. Because, I mean, even like through hospitals and stuff, like you never came across anybody else
not with me. I mean, everybody I was in the hospital with had, other things going on. I mean, even after I had surgery and like shared a room with other inpatient kids, they all had different things. None of them were bladder exstrophy people.
That's just wild. I don't know. Maybe it was also the hospital that I went to. Like, I didn't meet anybody, but like when my doctors would talk to me, they'd be like, oh yeah, like we just operated on somebody else with it. Like it's very common in this hospital. And I'm like, why am I like the only one?
Yeah. Like I knew my doctor specialized in bladder exstrophy and like specialized in females, but I just never met any of them.
It just sucks that I guess it's good because I wouldn't want more people to have to go through what we're going through, even though it's not like the worst thing in the world. But it sucks that our community is so small, even though it's really not.
Yeah.
But like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like so small that you don't hear about it. And I hate to even relate this to it, but like, you hear about cancer a lot. Cancers, like they have like hospitals, like St. Jude's and everything. So it's like, if a kid saw that on TV, they're like, oh, I know more people have cancer, even though it's horrible, and I hate that I'm even relating it to that. But we're nothing like cancer, but we're not publicized. It's kind of isolating. Like that. Yeah, that's like the perfect word. Honestly, we're isolated, and obviously it's not for any reason, but there's such a smaller population of us that we're not publicized. Annoying because it's like people then hear about it and they're like, oh, what's that? Meanwhile, it's something that people should be very much aware of, especially that it's a birth
defect.
I don't know if you want to say defect. I don't think that's a defect, but like a medical condition that you could be born with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even doctors and nurses at hospitals that don't specialize in it or anything, I feel like I can't even count how many of them I've had to explain to them like what bladder exstrophy is or like what a Mitrophanoff is. And it's just like, shouldn't even just like a regular nurse be educated on what it is? Right? Like we're not that rare. Yeah.
They should be. I guess we are. But again, like we were saying before, like it's like a paragraph in a textbook and it probably just gets skimmed over because there's not that
It's
much
just like, oh,
information
this
on
is the
it.
thing. Moving on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just frustrating like that because again, like when I had to go to the hospital, my local hospital, after my major surgery, they were like, "Wait, what did you have done? You have a neobladder now?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"How do you not know what this is?" I mean, I was probably one of the only people that walked in there with it. Let's be real. But I mean, still, as a doctor, you should know what this is. They have to do something about that. I don't make us have like a chapter or something in a textbook, even though I don't. No, I don't
No, but
think
there's enough
that
to
much
give us a
information, to be
chapter. I
honest.
mean, I've done a lot of research for the podcast and I found enough information that I think collectively, if you pull everything together, I think they could definitely have a full chapter of information.
They probably could. It's just like, I guess they don't see that on that high of a priority on the scale, as opposed to
something that's more
like
common.
autism or something like that, which sucks for us. But
That'll change.
hopefully at one point in the near future, we will have an answer of why this happened to us, because there has to be an answer. Like, it's not just like this happened, because it's not like it happened to one person. It happened to a bunch of people. So again, I think my doctor said it would be with like my 16th chromosome or something. I think there was like something wrong with it. It didn't maybe like fully develop, and that's why this happened. But like there had to be a trigger. Like, was it something that our mothers didn't do? But then again, my sister doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And Kylie's siblings don't have it either.
I
And
don't
your
know.
sibling doesn't
When
have
I was
it.
reading, it sounded like something in the second trimester, I think, that like doesn't fully develop. And that's what causes it. But like, I don't know what it is that causes it not to develop. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they have to figure out. They're like, something didn't develop.
Well,
we just don't know what it is.
Thank you for coming on and talking to me about your experience. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, or? Yeah.
Of course. Thank you so much for having. Trying to think. I mean, just for whoever's listening, just know whatever condition it may be, it doesn't have to be bladder exstrophy. You're not alone. There are much more people than you think out there with your condition, and you're going through the exact same thing that you are.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Body Talk with Becks. I hope you enjoyed the second half of my conversation with Camryn. If you did enjoy this episode, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts at. Also, consider becoming a patron on patreon.com. And you can also check out the website and pick up a sticker or two if you don't want to join Patreon. If you would like to share your story or know someone who would, I can be contacted through my website, www.bodytalkwithbecks.com, or on social media. Thanks for listening.